This is at Trustworthy Slav.
This is at Incognito, COH.
CRK Black.com build.
This is the Fed Post.
Slav's with his girlfriend's family right now.
Oh, okay.
So he's not going to be on for this one. So it's actually good timing that you're on for today because
missing
Slav's
a member.
not here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I've replaced him.
You're now the third Fed Post member. You're going to have to be the most reactionary to fill in.
Okay, awesome. Great.
Yeah, big shoes to fill.
Great. I can play the heel. I'm cool to do that. I'm excited.
You can get out all your most reactionary takes that, you normally wouldn't say.
Yes.
Nice.
I've been waiting for this moment my whole life.
Yeah, I feel like that's a big reason why people come on this podcast in the first place, to be honest.
Is what to just say like the most reactionary thing they can do.
Yeah, unbuckle a little bit. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Keith Woods comes on just like, oh, I can say anything. Like,
I haven't listened to the Keith Woods episode, but I need to. What happened? Like, what was the prognosis of that episode?
Keith,
I think honestly, and it's not going to sound good to say this really, just like, in a broad scope, but I think we saw eye to eye on a lot of things other than like, one really big thing, obviously.
A big thing, specifically the JQ.
I hope we can talk about some of that stuff on the episode because I want to talk a bit about like the whole like divide thing.
Yeah. I mean, Keith, we've been actually singing his praises lately in light of everything. As funny as it sounds, in light of everything that's gone on with the rifts or whatever.
Oh, I think the rifts are so funny though. I think they're hilarious.
Yeah.
I have a lot of thoughts, and I also want to pick other people's brains because like I don't talk to anyone and no one talks to me, so I'm just like a lurker. So it's like good to hear what other people think as well about like the political divide and like the riffs and the factionalism and stuff. I'm just interested to like hear.
Oh yeah, I totally want to talk about that with you, especially I feel like in the bonuses I've been ranting to COH and stuff, and it'd be nice to get a different perspective on it. But
I really thought about that today. I was like, man, CRK he's gonna be a breath of fresh air for him. He's gonna have someone new to kind of bounce that stuff off of. It's gonna be good.
Oh yeah. We don't have to talk about it for the whole episode because it is tedious and annoying. The only reason I do want to talk about it is because I don't get the opportunity to, like, ever.
Of course.
So, of course. Jake doesn't want to listen to me talk about it. He thinks it's, like, completely retarded. He's like, who the fuck is Curtis Yarvin, you retard? Like, fucking touch grass, you dumb bitch.
I sympathize with that completely.
I don't get to talk to anyone about it ever, so... but other than that, like we should definitely talk about other stuff for sure because we don't want to bore people with like insider baseball.
We'll get into it in the bonus. I'm thinking that's where we save all the gossipy and retard shit that only the sickos that pay for our show would want to hear. but yeah, Keith, we've been singing his praises just because he's been right on a lot of things. But yeah, Keith, I feel like he met us kind of halfway on things. That's
Definitely.
what I think. I think he's like, all right, well, these are some libs, and I'm gonna like.
Well, I want to talk more broadly about the political and philosophical side of the divide, not the personalities. I think that's where you kind of get into like trivia and bullshit. But like, I feel like the political and philosophical stuff is like important to chat about, which is why I kind of want to chat, not just because I don't get to spurg about it to anyone else ever, but also because I feel like there's some like interesting stuff there that we could talk about that's like not revolved around like personalities or specific incidents. So like for
sure. And Keith, I'll just quickly say that Keith he's definitely in his own lane, in a lane that got him banned off Twitter. So he's not even part of the a lot of the factionalism that's been going on lately. But yeah, anyways, aside from that, we could start with something. We could run through the news cycle because
start with something light, like a stabbing.
Like a stabbing,
a stabbing.
Yeah, this Rushdie guy. So you haven't talked about it on your show yet, right?
No.
Okay, so I don't know shit about this. I think Slav was like in the group chat explaining a lot of what's going on, and you were explaining some of it. But were you familiar? I was not familiar with this guy before he got shanked. Were you familiar with him before this? Like, you guys aware of him?
So my mom is like a fundamentalist Christian, and during like the controversy, like when the Satanic Verses controversy was like at its height, she was like paying attention because she had a lot of animosity towards like the Muslim world at the time, and despite the fact that she has really extreme beliefs, she thought that theirs were a bridge too far. Which I thought was really funny. So she bought a copy of the Satanic Verses to have in her house just to spite like the Muzzies or whatever. So this like dusty weird tome with this like weird like esoteric looking symbol on it was like in my house as a kid, but I like never read it. And then I remember like in the 2000s, I think it sort of flared up again. I think he went into hiding again because the fatwa wasn't just on him that was declared, it was on anyone who was involved in the publication of the book. And I think someone in France was killed. A couple of people were killed over this book. So by the early 2000s and stuff, he was like in serious hiding because of this fatwa. So I knew the background of it, but I didn't know much about the Satanic Verses, never read it, only knew that there was like a fatwa declared by the Ayatollah, I think in 1988, I believe, and that he's been in hiding since. But I guess like what I found funny or like ironic about it is that like as soon as the stabbing occurred in like broad daylight, and it was obviously brutal, he was like stabbed 12 times and like he's gonna lose an eye.
Right.
Like liberals immediately came out and were like, oh, like free speech is so important and like democratic values and all of this fucking bullshit. And Biden and Hillary Clinton and all of these people came out spouting empty platitudes about like democracy and shit. Meanwhile, like the last couple of years have shown like how willing they are to throw all of that under the bus if it serves their like interests, like COVID, like all the stuff that all of our like little schizo spheres been talking about for the last couple of years. Like that's like all an indictment against their like so-called commitment to democracy. And you see the same hypocrisy in like Ukraine and all of this stuff. And I just thought that like Islamic extremism, like rearing its head, is sort of like exposing a lot of the hypocrisy of liberals at the moment, especially when it comes to like encouraging things like zealotry and censorship. And like, didn't Dave Chappelle like nearly get shot the other day because someone did like his joke? Like, Will Smith is punched someone out because he thought his wife was like offended by something. Like it's becoming normalized like in these so-called like Western democracies. Like the zealotry that we laugh at in other cultures is like kind of normal now, or becoming more normal. And it's just, I don't know, I found it like ironic and silly that there was all that noise being made.
Yeah, there's something in the water. I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't know why.
Mass psychosis.
Chappelle, his thing was the trans guy. I don't know if we ever talked about it on the show, but like, he wasn't trans. He was like,
I'm not even sure what happened here. Will you expound on that, CRK? No, I don't see. I mean, I saw some murmurings, I feel like, or like when you said that, it sounded familiar, but then I realized, I don't know any information about this.
Oh yeah.
So Chappelle, he was doing like some stand up, and then this guy like jumped on the stage and tackled him, and had like a fake gun with a knife attachment to it.
Yeah,
for real. Yeah, and he like tried
a musket.
Yeah,
like with the long sword thing on the end of it.
It was like a makeshift gun. Yeah, it looks like a makeshift gun with like a fucking knife on the end of it.
Weird.
He said return to tradition. No, that makes sense though. Like that no, it was like a small minigun with like a little like knife. Like you could pull the trigger and the knife came out, or something trippy. I don't know what it was. Like, I don't know how he got in there with that, but like
shot like a ninja star or some shit. Like
yeah.
Man, a lot of improvised guns recently. The Shinzo Abe guy, his assassinator, he had the same kind of situation. I mean, it wasn't as cool as like a ninja star shooter, but it was a homemade gun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was some weird shit. Yeah, everybody's getting creative.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy to me, but like the reason why I bring these up, because everyone's sort of it's because the news cycle moves so quickly, and like we're in this like accelerated like schizophrenic paradigm or whatever, and like these incidents happen, and everyone was just like, I don't know why it matters, but I'm like, it's kind of like starting to show a trend of it being normal to like attack, and like people will justify it as well. They'll be like, this is great, like that person deserved. I remember when Chris Rock got slapped, like the first response to that, including from like major people, was like, oh yeah, he deserved that, like, you know,
joking about Jada.
And then the same thing, like there wasn't as much noise made about Dave Chappelle's he could have died, but there was still people saying, well, he should watch what he says and this and that. Like,
damn,
it reminded me also of like during January 6th, the lady who was shot in the head,
Ashley Babbitt,
yeah, like after she was shot in the head, like the stuff that you were seeing from like liberals and leftists on social media, like literally dancing on people's graves.
Oh yeah.
And like celebrating their deaths, and then in the same breath they're now breathlessly making statements about Salman Rushdie and like sending well wishes and like making empty platitudes about like freedom of speech. It's like really monstrous. And I guess the reason why I'm like still picking at this bone is because like I guess the previous election was like quite a pivotal point for me in terms of like my trajectory, and I just see this since then. I've just seen accumulation after accumulation of like the left just openly sort of betraying its like values, like constantly in this like really obvious like narcissistic way. And it doesn't matter how much it accumulates, it doesn't seem to puncture like their moral cover at all. It's bothersome.
Yeah, all the attacks on public figures, it definitely feels like a trend or like cracks in like the collective psyche or something. Yeah. I mean, Chappelle, Chris Rock, and this Rushdie guy who I don't really know. I mean, I feel like I distinguish them from like political people, like the Japanese guy. Like, I don't really know much about him or whatever, but like, you know, RBG, Colin Powell, Kavanaugh, like people like that who like, you know, either die or get hurt or whatever. I don't really care, you know what I mean, because like they're in power. I mean, it's different. I feel like there's a difference between like like celebrating it or whatever, or like, you know, and all that, but like I don't really care what happens to them, because I mean they're people of power. I mean, this Rushdie guy's just like a commentator, right? I mean,
well, he's Chappelle, like a writer. Chris Rock, he's a writer.
They're just and like, they're just commentators.
The idea, it's not even about them as individuals at all. I don't really care. It's more in principle, like the West is currently like in Ukraine, like, you know, talking about spreading and protecting democracy. Meanwhile, at home, writers and artists are being like assaulted on stage and things like that. Like that's the hypocrisy there, is like, not just that, like the censorious environment on social media, the fact that the Biden administration has declared this like bogus war on disinformation, and also war on domestic terror, which has incredibly nebulous, like, you know, outlines in terms of what that is. Like, it's kind of worrying to see, and COVID, like all of this stuff, we see this like bigger push towards a more censorious culture. Human rights abuses are currently happening. Assange is another example. Like, there's just countless examples. And to see that like Biden make a statement about Rushdie that included platitudes about democracy, while like just a few weeks ago he was getting chummy with like Saudi fucking like the Saudi Arabian government or whatever. It just doesn't make fucking sense to me. And I don't know, maybe people are just desensitized to it now, because it just is, it's a state of nature.
Yeah, I mean, shit, you're talking about the censorious like overall air that's going on here. I got fucking banned off Twitter permanently just the other day. Just because I responded to Marek and said election equals fortified. And they took me out of there. So yeah, I mean, I know it's not on the same level as like a physical attack or anything, but yeah, I mean, people are going to be spitting platitudes about free speech, and then that kind of shit's happening just like on a daily basis, on a second to second basis here.
Yeah, so, but they're literally saying like all of these like crazy teary-eyed libs after the Salman Rushdie thing. They're literally saying, oh my God, free speech is so important. And this is why we have to protect free speech. And it's like, literally, you guys are the same people that literally weeks ago were calling for people to be banned for saying that masks were not serving the function that, you know, it was propagated that they served, or something trivial like that, or whatever. Like, people lost their jobs, people lost prestige, people lost all kinds of things, you know, and for them to I don't know. It's again, it's another one of those sort of seemingly trivial cultural issues that kind of reveals where we're at, and it's depressing.
Yeah, it's very telling. It does make you wonder just like how much longer can they keep that up, you know, that like whole simulacrum of being the, you know, the most empathetic and the most pro-democracy and the most in the light, and then, you know, the most progressive, when, you know, pretty much every action of theirs in reality is pretty much to the contrary of that. And it really does make you wonder how long can like just they keep this facade going, because it seems like you're saying it is almost like a fact of nature, like that people are just like, I guess they aren't really keeping up to this and they are being hypocrites, but like, I'm not going to think much about that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But it's, like I said, it's like a state of nature at this point, which is why like people are just sort of like desensitized to it. And it kind of reminded me of another thing that happened recently as well. There was did you guys read that Crumpler article on Dime Square that came out?
No.
You didn't see it?
No.
Oh, so some kind of like lib journalist went to I think it was like a shoot that was done by this Dime Square filmmaker named Peter Vack, I believe. Mm-hmm. And he then wrote a scathing piece about his experience, claiming that the whole thing devolved into like a cancel session of him, and that like they all turned on him, and that it was like this like crucible like mob atmosphere. And he told this like huge tale of woe about how Curtis Yarvin and his friends like piled on him or whatever. And I just thought it was funny that he didn't get any sort of self-awareness from that experience, considering that that's shit that the left does to people constantly. Oh yeah. And it's the same principle again at play. And I just thought it was funny, like seeing that that he didn't have like that bracing moment of self-awareness that, oh shit, like this is what the left does to people all the time. He was still like, no, I'm a victim, and like these people are uniquely evil. It's just like this weird, horrible mentality that they have. It's like really, it's so arrogant. It's so fucking arrogant.
Yeah, it's deeply narcissistic for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, everybody's opportunistic about that type of thing. And yeah, I mean, as far as the free speech thing, I mean, it's funny too, because like especially with COH, what happened to COH. Wait, you got banned first for saying choke on maple syrup, right? That was the first one.
Yeah, I told that man. That was a long time ago. I think that was the first one. Yeah.
Right. But the Fortify thing, that's in Time magazine.
Mm-hmm.
That's their language.
I thought I was in the clear. I even thought I was like, I'm going to say fortified instead of rigged here, and I should be clear, but apparently not. So,
damn, that's wild that they're updating the algo or something for catching that. That's wild because
catch on sarcasm or something.
Yeah, what the fuck, like. But yeah, as far as the free speech thing, it's just funny because I mean, aside from the fact that you can get fired from your job for not having the latest woke patch update or whatever. I mean, I watched them literally censor people for questioning the election in real time. Mm-hmm. I like saw that happen, just for asking a question or whatever.
We got our episodes taken down.
Yeah, hey, this data looks weird. Gone. You're just gone. You know what I mean? Like not even saying anything crazy. So, I mean, any idea of like freedom of speech is kind of a joke right now because I mean it's obviously not real. Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely that. I mean, I'm a little confused because why are the libs like why are they defending him because he's critiquing Islam? Isn't that supposed to be the right-leaning thing? I know that's kind of flipped lately, but like that's kind of weird. I mean, from what Slav was telling me is that like he's like part of a Bill Maher circle or whatever, like Bill Maher being like, I'm one of the free speech lefties and he's critiquing Islam and I'm atheist and I fuck with that. Like, that's the sense I'm getting. But like, I didn't know like Hillary Clinton and like all these Dems were saying this. I didn't know that. So that's kind of confusing to me because like, isn't he supposed to be bad for like critiquing Islam? Like, I thought that was the whole.
I mean, I guess
completely shift.
It's because it puts that side of the left like in a really weird optical, I guess, kerfuffle if they are seen to be indifferent to the fact that someone has been stabbed for a book in a liberal democracy. So I guess they had to scramble to come out to defend him. Whereas I guess usually they would disagree with him or whatever.
Because it happened in Jersey, right? It happened.
And it was in New York, I believe.
Yeah, I was going to ask where it happened.
Yeah, it happened in New York. He's been living in America for, I think, a decade or so. And yeah, like that, I think that there's also a lot of crossover, the way that these issues get picked and dropped. Like there are times where Islam has like been seen as like revolutionary, like especially with like Black political struggle stuff, and then there are times where it's seen as reactionary. It's like dotted all over the political spectrum,
and
it's usually appropriated by whoever like finds it the most politically like expedient, either to make it a boogeyman or like a very protected category. So the relationship like Islam even has to the West is like very dysfunctional and like schizophrenic to begin with anyway.
That's true. It's such a weird thing now, because now I remember like the right used to hate fucking Islam, and now they're like, yo, they're based for fighting back the liberal degeneracy or whatever, and now the libs are like, oh, Islam's very reactionary. So it's like it wasn't even that long ago that this was like flipped, so it's very very strange. But that makes sense.
Really bad, and it's because they can never take foreign, especially Americans, no offense to you guys, but having lived on the other side of the pond, it's really difficult for Americans to take foreigners as like people, as like whole individual like people who are capable of like good and evil or whatever. Like there's always
exactly.
It's either extreme either extreme romanticism or like complete like, you know, suspicion and fear and you know, I feel like that's the reason why there's like so many weebs in America as well. Like that extreme romanticism of like other cultures is like a feature of like American like cultural production.
That's true. Yeah, you guys are characters to us. You know, you have an accent. Like, well, you're like
when I went to an American high school. Can you imagine? Like, I was fresh out of like a British boarding school, and then my mom got a job in Washington D.C. and I had to go. I was going to like a public school with like 2,000 fucking students with like a Harry Potter accent. Like, can you imagine how easy it was for me to acclimatize myself to America? The school bus was not fun. I still have nightmares. I'm joking.
But yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know. This is a throwback. This whole conversation is kind of like a throwback. It's wild.
Like, because sometimes it's good to throw back because
really,
like we're so deterritorialized, and I guess that's the reason why I keep harping on these dumb issues, is because like they haven't resolved themselves yet. Like we're still in the shit, guys. Like I know that there's a million other novel, interesting schizo things happening, but like the sort of time following the last election has brought some very worrying trends that are only going to accelerate and have begun to accelerate. And all of these different accumulation of instances have proven that. And like, I feel like we have to be like watchful, I guess, despite the fact that it's like probably not gonna, like nothing's gonna happen about it. But I think it's important to kind of watch like the trajectory of where we're heading. And yeah, a lot of what's happening is like unprecedented. You mentioned like the Abe shooting, like that rocked my world that day when that happened. I don't know how you guys took it, but I was like kind of like, whoa, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about him, so I feel weird talking about it. But like, yeah, I mean, commentators like this Rushdie guy or like a comedian, Chappelle or whatever, you know, I don't think, you know, a joke, you know, like doing all that over a joke is fucking insane to me. And also, I'm probably biased because I'm a commentator, I guess, quote unquote. I'm probably protecting my own neck.
Commentators, all good, in the clear. No one worry about them.
The worst that they'll do is like throw a milkshake at you or something, which isn't that
tomato.
Bad.
Yeah.
It's not that bad.
Yeah.
Man, if it's a good milkshake, I'll pick it up and finish the rest of that
shit. Yeah. I mean, politicians, I don't, you know, if they pass some bill that fucked over your life or whatever, hey, I understand.
No, I'm not. The only reason I bring up Shinzo Abe is because it's like I don't think Japan has seen like the murder of like a major head of state for like, I don't think
that was crazy.
But not because I'm concerned about his rights or anything. And it was the guy who shot him was actually a disgruntled, basically it was to do with like this This is the story that kind of went around. There's this Korean cult called the Moonies. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Oh yes.
The Unification Church. They did all of those mass weddings and things, and they got kicked out of America because of like immigration fraud or some shit. And then they had like their headquarters in South Korea, but then apparently Abe's father was like tight with the head of the Unification Church. And the first Unification Church in Japan was like built on Abe's father's like land or something along those lines. So there's like ties between the Abe family and the Unification Church. And there's all these like cults in Japan, and they cause a lot of issues. And the guy who shot Abe, his mother had apparently donated their like family's life savings to the Moonies and basically bankrupted the family. And so he was like obviously bereft and annoyed and pissed and decided to take his anger out on Abe because of the connection that he had to the church. So that's like the speculation about why.
Yeah, Slav was explaining this is some weird shit because I know the Moonies are like, they have some ties. That cult has ties with the Korean president that like left. Like was like a Rasputin figure for president.
Oh.
And that's why she had to leave because she was like exposed as had ties to this cult.
Japan's fascinating, because we have like the whole we have a spiritual void in the West as well, but their spiritual void like is was like really intensified by like the end of their feudal order, like when emperor worship ended, it kind of left a void, and that was like sort of filled by all of these like different cult sects that started to gain a lot of financial and political power. And got a lot of access. So the problems in Asia, in East Asia, have a lot to do with like separation of church and state fights. Kind of, that's like the most Western kind of way I can put it, I guess. So yeah, it's interesting to see those parallels like there and like what's going on there and stuff.
No, it was shocking. It was shocking, especially the gun he used, especially because they don't have guns. And the fucking gun he had was some fucking like weird ass fucking contraption. That shit was like bugged out. That shit was bugged out.
3D printed like NFT gun or whatever.
A one of one for sure. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, it is crazy just talking about the war on terror, and you know, it just came and went. And, you know, I mean, the NSA is still tapping our phones. That's one thing that lingers, but it's all just kind of forgotten about. I mean, I still think about it. I haven't forgotten about it. And
I still remember 9/11 every single day. All those brave people that died that day in that tower, bro. I mean, God bless them, honestly. But that was a joke.
The brave people who
we're going to be talking about COVID in the same way in the next 10 years.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. Yeah.
It's kind of like a depressing thought because it's like we're all going to be schizos into like eternity, just sort of like archiving these really tragic events where we saw like more and more of our freedoms get like rolled back or whatever.
Let's see what else was going on. There's there's senators took a trip to Taiwan. I don't even want to talk about that. I don't know what's going on with that. That's some
Nancy Pelosi got the gang. They headed back
up.
out
they're
there.
all zannied up and perked up, and they just hopped on the flight. Took half a Zan.
She just got to re-up. She's like, "All right, boys."
yeah. But what about this Andrew Tate guy? So, are you familiar with this, Angie? Are you aware of?
He's been everywhere. Okay. He's been everywhere. Literally.
CH, are you aware of this?
I've never heard of this man.
Okay.
So y'all can unfold it for me, and I'll listen. Oh fuck! Okay. Oh fuck! I just googled him and now I'm seeing him. Yeah. Okay. Fuck him. Yeah. I was listening to a podcast, Tom Segura's podcast, and they were talking about him actually.
My boyfriend likes Tom Segura.
He's good. This shit's funny.
What was he saying? Yeah, he's just like he looks. I don't know if he's like racially ambiguous bald guy.
He's half black and half.
Is he really? Oh my God.
He said there was such disappointment, like, oh, come on.
Wait, is he a Blasian?
No, we don't claim him, no. No, he's half black, half Romanian, some Eastern European, some runoff.
Bosnian.
I was going to say, because I'm a Blarab, and I hate that the like mixed community has like produced him. I think that we should be apologizing. 'Cause, like, I didn't know. I thought he looked racially ambiguous, but I couldn't tell. I thought maybe he was just like a funky looking white guy, because you know, like when white guys shave their heads, sometimes they look kind of
racially ambiguous.
Yeah,
you get the Shanking look.
Yeah,
with
they
the tan.
do.
Yeah,
exactly. But yeah, he's basically like, what is he? He's he like an MRA or something?
MRA. He MRN. Wait, what?
Like a men's rights activist or some shit.
Oh yeah, he is. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and
they were calling that just based these days. Based and red pilled.
Yeah, he's just Chad. Yeah,
he's Chad. He's just a hot blooded man. And we're all just jealous.
Yeah, he used to be in the UFC, so he's got that tie. I think he's Muslim. My friends were telling me that he's Muslim and he's got 4 wives. So he's trad and based and Mormon or Islam pilled or whatever.
Mormon or Islam pilled.
Yeah, he's covering all the bases. And he's popping off right now. The weird thing about he's manosphere guy. He's just like, you know, fill in the blank of whatever you think a manosphere guy would be saying. He's saying all that in a kind of cartoonish way. And he's trending a lot. I swear to God, I think he followed me like a year ago. I swear to God, I think he had like 13,000 followers, and he was following me, and I was like, "Who the fuck is this dude?" And this pinned tweet is like, "You need to fucking." I don't know. It's like some Rivellino shit. Like, you need to fucking face. You need to do. You need to be. It's like all that stupid shit. And he's like, he was following me, and he had, you know, all the typical pickup artist PUA red pilled grifter shit of like, you know, posing in front of cars, posing in front of women in cars, and you know, he's like on the couch with 4 like supermodels, and like he's staring at a TV screen, and the TV screen has his own face on it, and that just blew my mind. I was like, whoa, this dude is like, you know, new levels of Chad.
It's just like so fake and gay though. Like he
doesn't mean it. Yeah,
he's not real. He's like
he might mean it, but this dude's fucking retarded.
But even then, like there's so many different like iterations of this guy that have come up recently, especially since TikTok came about, because that's usually like where they go viral, because it's like the most like clip-worthy, inflammatory stuff that tends to go viral on there. And like Kevin Samuels is another one who had a similar business model. I don't know if you guys heard of him or saw any of his videos, but they were equally as hilarious as they were sadistic. He basically would get very like young, dumb, like women with self-esteem issues to call into his show and rate them based upon their attributes and kind of pick them apart.
Oh my God.
And because he did it in this sort of humorous way, his clips went viral, and he sort of became this like agent of the manosphere, and he built a business model off of it. And it's like so obvious that it's like not really about what they're saying, isn't stuff that they really mean. Like they don't fucking care. It's a good business model because the attention they get from outrage and, you know, all of those other things can then be like alchemized into other forms of like currency or whatever the fuck.
Oh yeah.
And it pisses me off that like you see people like Hassan and like H3H3 having people like Andrew Tate on their shows to like debate them. And it's just like, it's like wrestling. It's so stupid. And I'm like, who watches this? Yeah, Hassan had him on. H3 also had Andrew Tate on his show. And they were like debating him like he was a serious person and being like, I can't believe you have these misogynistic views. And it was just like, are we serious right now? Is this what's like replaced wrestling? Is people just like,
oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm seeing this. Hassan triggers Andrew Tate.
Yeah, literally. That's
this
like
is fucking Ben Shapiro shit.
It's half of YouTube. It's literally half of YouTube is this shit. Like this is what like political discourse is now.
WWE, yeah.
Yeah, it's WWE. It's like entertainment. It has absolutely no intellectual merit or value whatsoever. And the people who are doing it to aggrandize themselves and to launch careers in a cynical a way. And that's not to say that Andrew Tate probably isn't a dick or that he's not like a misogynist, but it's not like they treat him like he's like Trump. Like speaking of Avatar, they treat him like he's the Fire Lord and like he's like fucking like he's like what he says matters, or like it's just really fucking frustrating to watch. Yeah. It's dumb.
Yeah, exactly. I saw that picture of him staring at a TV of his own face, and I like, that's not someone I would like think to like, oh, let me talk to this guy.
Yeah, you don't take that guy seriously. He's like a jester. You just kind of you kind of take it with a grain of salt. Sometimes it's going to be absurdly funny because of how just ridiculous it is, and then you kind of move past it in that way.
He literally like said, "I would like never talk to a woman," or something along those lines. Like he was like just like ridiculous shit like that. Like just stuff that's like clearly meant to sound like the most inflammatory like thing possible.
Yeah, he said something about, I was just reading a quote on one article and I Googled them about, he said, quote, "Women have no sense of personal responsibility." Yeah. He was like, if your boy crashes his car, he's going to be like, yeah, that was my bad. But your girl crashes her car, she's going to be like, some guy came out of nowhere. And that was like the quote that he gave. So yeah, he's just saying ridiculous shit that's just like inflammatory.
He's playing the villain that like liberals have in their heads. Like when liberals think of like, and like leftists think of like the bad like right-wing guys, that's who they're imagining is this like swaggering, racially ambiguous like, you know, egghead who's gonna like say all the things that get them like libidinally excited. It's sick.
You're right. You're totally right. It really is 100% WWE shit. That's really he's just the heel. He's just like, I'm the heel.
It's an easy job. You know, it's literally an easy job. Any of us could do it tomorrow. If you get tired of your job, quit everything and create like a fake persona based upon all of the trigger points of the left, and you'll be a millionaire in no time.
Yeah, you can't take this guy serious. Especially
if you're like charismatic. You just need a little bit of charisma and like a personality disorder, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, you can't debate this guy. You just got to take a few notes and then ignore him. You know, that's it. Really, that's all I would do with what he says. But yeah, I mean, he's
take a few notes. Hold up, run that back.
No, anyways, but yeah, I mean, like the WWE thing. I mean, Trump kind of had that flair to him too. I mean, he literally was in WWE, and some of the crazy things that Trump said initially was kind of that effect of like, yo, let me just rile some shit up, and then he never really backed it up. I mean, he never really went hard socially right. I mean, he didn't really go that way.
About Andrew Tate, I will say though, he did back it up apparently, because apparently the reason why he's getting a lot of like, he's even in the limelight in the first place is that he was on like the show Big Brother or something.
Yeah.
And he got kicked off of Big Brother because a video came out of him beating a woman with a belt.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, he's kind of backing it up. You know, he's putting his nuts on the table.
Okay, so he's backing it up. He's putting his nuts on the table. But even then, like he's just an antisocial douchebag.
Yeah, he's terrible.
Yeah, that's who the internet is for. Like Hassan, like goes and like jizzes on Eastern European hookers and calls them comrades and workers or whatever. Like,
yeah, for real.
This is who this like realm is for. It's for the most antisocial degenerates on any and like all of
except for us, of course.
Except for us, of course. Yeah. I am an antisocial degenerate, but for Jesus, so
for the right reasons.
For the right reasons. But no,
I guess he's not faking. He's really a scumbag. Wow.
It's true. Like they are. It's for it. And I'm not saying everybody within it is an antisocial degenerate, but if you are one, you will thrive. It's like an evolutionary adaptation to be a fucking antisocial degenerate. So it doesn't surprise me that these people have like horrible skeletons in their closets, or that their personas are somewhat tied into their real proclivities. But that doesn't make it any less performative. It's hyper reality. It's still hyper reality at the end of it.
Big Brother was a reality show, right?
Yeah, it's hyper reality. I think so. These people live in hyper reality. Like they're not on the same plane as us most of the time. It's like when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. Like in his head, he's like the cool guy.
I'm
he's
acting
Will
right
Smith.
now.
Yeah, he's Will Smith. He's always there. He's always inhabiting his like kayfabe, the same way that these people are always like inhabiting their kayfabe, and that must be a very abysmal existence. But it pays, and it works. Like why? It's not as if like Hassan is like dumb enough not to know that Andrew isn't worth debating, but he knows it's going to get lots of views and that people are going to tune into the fucking wrestling fight.
Yeah, I mean, wow, the domino effect from fucking Survivor being on the air is fucking wild. But I've heard
it's only a matter of time until the DSA bros go on Big Brother, dude.
Yeah. Honestly, they got to do what would your job be on the Commune, but as a TV show? They gotta set that up.
Oh my god, that would be the best reality TV show ever.
Like
it would
Jersey
be like,
Shore to Chaz.
Yes, it would be like e-girls with guns and like
oh god,
fucking like bronies.
Fuck.
I've heard too that he has a multi-level marketing scheme. Andrew Tate, my friend, was explaining Andrew Tate apparently he has this scheme where like that account that followed me might not have been him. It might have been some.
Oh, he's getting his name out there.
He pays a person to pretend to be him, so he's got mad accounts out there. And then that person like recruits someone else, all with the incentive of like, hey, if you do this for me and get this like chump change, you're gonna end up a millionaire. You're gonna
pyramid
be part of my
scheme.
empire.
Hell yeah, dude. That's the Sigma grind set right there. This man's a true Sigma.
Oh yeah. Selling vector knives and all types of shit.
Fuck, dude. The vector knives.
I heard someone the other day compare this sort of grift to OnlyFans for men.
Yes, OnlyFans with the what is it, the referral code or whatever, like if you refer someone you get like a discount or whatever.
Yeah, and just like how a lot of dumb girls with like nothing else going for them resort to that. A lot of dumb guys with nothing else going for them resort to like streaming and like whoring themselves out for attention by making these like depraved characters. Like Ethan as well, his arc was quite depressing to watch because I remember liking H3 when he was doing sketch comedy in the early days, and now he just looks fucking fat and miserable and like he hates his life and just like he will go with whatever cultural wave is rising in order to just keep the machine turning. And I'm like, that's a pretty sad existence.
Ethan, who's this?
Ethan Klein, H3.
Oh, this is the Hassan friend guy, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this Tate guy is like, he got popping off TikTok, right? You said TikTok?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was TikTok that made him viral, I'm pretty sure.
TikTok is
fucked up, bro.
It's MK Ultra, bro. It makes me so angry every time.
It's elevating the most base of like human actions, like the most just like vile.
Bro, it's like and I keep seeing it because it shows up on Twitter. People keep posting fucking TikTok videos,
bro.
And I'm like, bro, if I wanted to see TikTok videos, I'd be on fucking TikTok. You know what I mean?
Speak like, on it, dude.
This shit is a fucking nightmare.
I go out of my way to avoid it, dude. I have people at work trying to talk about, you want to watch this fucking TikTok video? I'm just telling them, nope, not really.
Bro, I saw that shit today. I found out that shit has more traffic than fucking YouTube. Like YouTube I didn't know that. Like YouTube is like long form now.
YouTube
it's like
is
reading
dead.
a book.
Yeah, YouTube is like, oh my god, I'm gonna watch an entire YouTube video. Like,
holy shit!
Oh, they even do shorts now. They do like 7-second videos now.
So the shorts are now being pushed because they're trying to compete with TikTok because they've lost it. And the reason why TikTok model has been so corrosive to YouTube as a platform is because it doesn't just like show people short form videos. It gets people addicted to only seeing short form videos. So when they try to watch anything longer, they can't. Like I remember when TikTok initially came on the scene, I wanted to see what like it was all about because I was like, oh, I need to be in touch with the zeitgeist. And I had it for like a week and it was like rotted my core. And I remember my boyfriend like put a movie on and I like literally could not concentrate, and it took me like nearly a month to like get back to in terms of being able to concentrate and like watch long form things. And that really worried.
That shit is crazy.
It's literally evil. Like it's literally demonic. The algorithm is embodying capital, and it's evil and demonic.
Not just that. During that month when I had it, it tracks your moods by showing you things that are emotional, because it maps the like.
Oh my god! And then seeing which ones you engage with.
Yeah, the ones you engage. So if you're in a depressive mood, it will show you a lot of like weird self-help advice stuff. And even though this stuff isn't going into you consciously, unconsciously you're imbibing all of this stuff. And then beauty TikTok is also really fucking toxic. Like I thought Tumblr was toxic for young girls. This is like Tumblr on crack. As a young girl who like grew up using Tumblr and like had eating disorders and shit like that. TikTok has given that culture an entirely new like shot of adrenaline in the arm.
It's accelerationist shit, but just applied to this specific mode.
Yeah. Like every form of mental illness you could possibly think of, especially people who have those, it'll recommend you videos based upon them. And like it just sends you into this endless feedback loop, addictive feedback loop of fixating on different like areas of, it could drive someone mad, in my opinion. Like it really could. I think it's driven a lot of people mad already.
Oh, it definitely has. I know people that I work with and stuff that spend literally, they talk about they go home and the first thing they do when they get home is spend about 30 minutes to an hour just watching TikTok videos. Yeah. That's the first thing you do when you have free time for yourself after being a wage slave all day. What the fuck is that doing to your brain? Nothing good. No. Like nothing good.
But think about it. It's like it's designed to be hypnotic. It puts you in a trance state and it lets you shut your brain down. Like
pulls you out of reality.
Yeah, it pulls you out of reality really quickly. And like when people are stressed and tired, the effort to like read a book or whatever, it's like a lot less appealing when you have this like phone that will like show you an endless scroll of like aspirational and titillating like images and make you feel that you're part of the current moment. That's kind of the whole thing, is that because TikTok is so quick and like easily produced and trendy.
And it's so trendy. That's the thing. Yeah, it shows up on all these other platforms. It'll be like, oh, have you seen this one TikTok? Like everyone's talking about that one fucking TikTok.
It's
almost like a Vine or whatever.
It's like what Twitter used to do. Twitter used to be. And it's also like what Twitter did to like long form text is what TikTok has done to like long form videos. So like
that shit is crazy.
Yeah. And it's just
that shit is really crazy. Yeah.
And it's deterritorializing. There's no context. Like it's really schizophrenic. Like the same way that Twitter decontextualized everything. And once people get onto this, because it's a level of consciousness. And the way that you train your consciousness to operate is like important. So if you're training your consciousness to only function in the moment, and I don't mean in like the eternal moment in the good way, but I mean in the sort of base lower moment of your immediate needs and desires or whatever. If your consciousness is constantly operating on that level and you're only engaging with culture on that level, like of course it will be easy for the like powers that be to memory hole stuff. Literally in 2 years, people won't even remember that COVID fucking existed.
Yep.
It's like a tool for control because people don't fucking think it. The last thing they scrolled past is already fucking old news, like
ancient.
Ancient. And I remember like I was reading something or watching something the other day where I think it was set in like the 19th century and like someone was complaining about how newspapers have made like news disposable and how people just throw newspapers away and there's no emphasis on preserving history. And I'm like, do you know where we are now, where most of the people get like their news and opinions from Twitter and like are scrolling? They can't even watch movies. They're watching 7-second videos. It's changing the way that our brains like function. And I know that's like a midwit take or whatever that people have said, but
the midwits are right though in this scenario.
The midwits are always right, which is the truth. The midwits are right. No,
it's scary to me because I was late to social media. I was late to a lot of like internet shit and like TikTok thing. I'm just like, oh, what is this fucking bullshit? I don't want to see this. I've just been ignoring it mostly.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, damn, I just keep seeing more and more of it. I'm like, I just thought it was like some Vine shit. Like, oh, it'll pop up and then go away. And it really feels like it's got more staying power, I guess, because they did Vine with music, I guess is the only twist. But it seems like it's got more staying power.
And the algorithm is way more refined now, dude. It's had like literally 5 to 10 years on Vine to work on that algorithm and incorporate what they've learned like through Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. Literally, like what you're working with in TikTok is like such a high level of like refined algorithmic just data, just mining and working on it, and almost just a mind on its own. And it's just been teaching itself now for a long time. And that combined with the fact that TikTok, if you go through and read its user agreement, has one of the most like expansive permissions of any app that you're going to get on any phone as far as what it gets permission to access on your phone. Like I know like all these apps are spying on you and tracking your cross app movement or whatever the fuck, right? Obviously. But like explicitly in TikTok, they talk about the fact that they have access to all your keystrokes in the app or outside of the app. So they can have every text message you're sending. They know what you're sending if they wanted to. Like if they had the time, or if the algorithm, which it does, has the processing capability to take that and then work it into itself, it is going to. And then also has access to your camera, to your like microphone, all the shit that like was like the NSA thing everyone's worried about. Like TikTok is just saying they're doing all that and people are agreeing to it in their user agreement. I mean, Twitter and shit probably do very, very similar things, but it's not quite to the level of TikTok.
What the fuck? I did not know that.
No, I didn't know that either.
This is where I really get Luddite pilled. I'm leaning.
I'm telling you, dude. It's literally the only thing to do. It is literally the only way to combat like what is going on. The like acceleration that's going on is to disengage from it. And I know that it's like counter to getting information out to people, etc. But like what we're doing is just refining it.
But Larry and Jihad when like
yeah,
literally like it's pretty crazy. But at the same time, it's like it's hard because it's like it's progress, quote unquote. And is it that we should continue progress, but like try to mitigate the areas where progress has caused problems as best as we can? Or are we supposed to halt progress altogether? And I feel like that's the primary, like, I guess, philosophical question at play beneath all of these.
I think that's a false divide, though, because I think what it is the people propping up what we have right now as progress. And then people are saying, well, I don't want that anymore, so I guess I don't want progress anymore. But I think the real meat of the matter is that what we have is not progress. It's just eternal change. We're not progressing towards any fixed point right now. There's no end goal. There's no 10, 20, 50-year plan. The only way that you make progress towards something is when you have a destination that you're progressing towards. Otherwise, it's just movement and change. And so if you're not on a path towards something, you have no end goal. Are you making progress or are you just changing? And if you realize, well, maybe we're not actually progressing, we're just changing a lot, maybe we should sit down and say, well, what is something that we do want to say is an end goal? How do we progress towards that? And how do we sit and look at what we're calling progress now and say, you know what, this actually isn't progressive towards that goal. And so maybe we try to write this path and get us turned back and put us on another one. I think that fundamentally that's like the big thing to do here. And I think that it's kind of bringing up like, that's where you're getting a lot of this, return to tradition, stuff like that. Or not, it's because those people are trying to say like, oh, well, this progress just isn't right. And so we just got to stop progress. Or people that are like saying, well, no, this is just eternal progress. So all the things that you don't like about it, you just got to suck it up because we're on the waves of progress and we're hitting, we're progressing no matter what. But really, I think that at the end of the day, it's just we don't actually, what we have is not progress, it's just change. And so until we have a goal that we want to, then we can't be progressing towards it. And so it's just a matter of, is this good change or not really? It's for people on a day-to-day basis. And I think in a lot of ways it's not. And so in that case, we can just kind of do away with the whole concept of calling these things progress or progressive and just say, these are changes that we don't want.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
COH and I have this debate a lot because I'm more of the leaning on the fully automated commie end of things compared to COH. But yeah, I mean, I think what we came to agree on is like the purpose, like the purpose of, it's all endless optimization. Obviously, that's all technology is, but like the purpose is what matters. And like, I mean, obviously they said the printing press was going to make everyone stupider and the internet, and obviously there's downsides to all of it, but there's also like measurable good that came of it, obviously, that equates to like lives being saved or whatever.
I still struggle to find the measurable good from TikTok, though.
Yes.
No, but that's what I'm saying. That's optimization in the sense of like not to any need or not to any functional thing.
That's kind of what Land says, and that's but obviously Land's view is far more pessimistic. But he says that like progress has gone to the point where it's like usurped even human need and like human nature, and like.
Right.
you know, it's gotten to the point where we fuel the machine. Like, it's not as if we're like in control of that. We exist so that the machine exists type of thing.
It's very meta, the metaverse shit.
Yeah. And he sort of saw it as like an inevitability in that sense. And that it wasn't whether or not we could negotiate progress at all. It was just an inevitability. So I guess the accelerationist period is like, sorry, the accelerationist position is kind of like super kind of pessimistic from my understanding.
Yeah, it's some cuck-brained bullshit, dude. That's some fucking no agency in life bullshit. That's some free will doesn't exist ass bullshit. Fuck that, dude. You're a person. You have your own goddamn thoughts. You have free will. Go out and make decisions. Interact in the world.
For sure, if that's this is just my like dumb interpretation of it. So I want to make sure I'm being charitable. So everyone should obviously study whatever they want for themselves, but from my interpretation of it, I saw it as like a very kind of nihilistic philosophy that kind of embraces
I think it is
what they view as the inevitable impact of capitalism.
You want Joker
and
mode,
they see everybody who is attempting to mitigate it as like engaging in futile effort.
And
a lot of them are. They're right. A lot of the criticisms that Nick Land made and other philosophers from all kinds of different ilks make about like the failures of the left are true. And it's sad too. So it's not like you can be like, oh, they don't believe in they don't believe in this like thing that exists that could mitigate the problems, because that's not around either. So it's like that I don't think that doesn't have the potential to be a thing, but I also acknowledge that it's not right now. So it's like, you know, one of those things.
I think his basis, like fundamental idea that we are right now kind of fueling, like our main existence is generally just kind of fueling the machine of capital, and that's kind of just rolling over and incorporating all of us into it, and we're essentially kind of building capital, its own body and its own force, and allowing it to get to a point where it could become unstoppable or whatever like that. I think it's like at the end of the day, I think that human beings and humanity as a whole, because I think humanity is a reflection of human beings and vice versa. I think that we're constantly at a crossroads where we're able to make decisions to go one way or another. And I think that as a whole, I don't believe in being trapped in causal chains that you are not able to escape from. I believe fundamentally that there are ways that we could change the nature of life as far as where we're heading. And I think that it's important to have a philosophy that actually believes that, encapsulates that concept. Otherwise, you don't have a functional philosophy in just life generally, because it's just the indecision. It's just not constant non-doing, that's nothing.
Exactly. Like, I wish I could do the Alex Jones voice where it's like, I believe in the human spirit.
Yeah.
Like, I do believe in the human spirit, but like at the same time, I also have like a morbid fascination with the, I guess, philosophies that have come about because of disillusionment. And I also have the humility of understanding that the way a lot of this stuff has unfolded, like it happened long before I was even cognizant of like politics or philosophy or culture or any of that stuff. Like, you know, this whole arc has been going on for a long time. And despite like I understand like one can believe in the human spirit. And I guess my reservation is that like a lack of quote unquote pure ideology is often mistaken by people as like a lack of motivation or convictions. It's like when you're somebody who doesn't support the current thing and then you meet someone else who doesn't too, but then it's only because they're like nursing some other form of delusion, if you know what I mean. Like it's hard to keep like a smooth, clean brain, like an open mind, and not be poisoned by or weighed down by the failures of the principles that you are aligned with, while also staying true to those principles at the same time. Like it's difficult. It's a difficult balance to strike. And it's
I don't think that anyone needs to particularly expose or, you know, hold a quote unquote pure ideology or need to get down to the basis of one. I think that people, you know, learn and change given new information about the world around them and how it impacts their lives. And I think that that's only human and natural. And I think that naturally you're going to have, ideologies that may change in accordance with that. I think that there are still fundamentally core values that people can hold and principles that should remain unchanged generally. And I think that my problem is not so much with not having a set ideology, but my problem is one of having an ideology of helplessness, or an ideology of inaction, or one of we can't do anything. That's one that's what I see out of these.
All right, that was part 1 of our episode. If you'd like to listen to part 2, you can find that at patreon.com/fedpost. Thanks for listening.